Why is Trish from Devil May Cry a bad character? Well, Trish is a bad character from Devil May Cry for several reasons. She's a bad character in the context and the canon of the numbered timeline itself. She is a bad adaptation of the real-life Italian woman, Beatrice Portinari, who is featured in one of the most influential and famous poems in Western history. And she's born from a really creepy and weird Freudian space inside Kamiya's mind. Kamiya being the director of only the first Devil May Cry game and none of the other Devil May Cry games. Okay, so why is Trish a bad character in specifically the canon of the numbered Devil May Cry games? Why is she bad in the context of the story? Well, Trish is bad in the context of the story because she's straight up evil with barely any growth. You'd think she grows a little bit between game to game, but she's not actually in all of the games. She's really only relevant in the plot of the first game and the fourth game. She is like basically an unlockable costume for Dante in the second game. She's not really in it at all. And in the fifth game, she doesn't really do anything. She just kind of lays around like naked. She's really a background character for most of the timeline. But let's talk about specifically the first game where she has the most plot relevance. In the first Devil May Cry game, she immediately attacks Dante as soon as she meets him. There's no reason to do this. No actual reason. I mean, we will find out later in the game she is ordered to basically get rid of Dante as a servant of Mundus. And she just straight up attacks him out of nowhere for no reason. Then, the second he proves that he can fight her off, she's like, wait, I'm actually not your enemy. I'm totally not your enemy. Please follow me to this remote, isolated island in the middle of nowhere. And he just follows her. It doesn't make any kind of plot sense why Dante would follow her or trust her at all. And it's just barely implied that the reason he does is just because she looks like his mom. That's it. It doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. And then, oh no, what happens? Well, actually what happens is the player doesn't really get any more story for like 15 missions straight. There's no real direction for what you should be doing once Trish leads Dante to the island. You just kind of fucking wander around. It's pretty stupid. I get it. It's an early PS2 game. Capcom probably had limited resources. You know, I don't want to make a bunch of excuses for why the story's written so poorly in the first game. It's written poorly at the end of the day. Whatever. Then, as soon as Dante's finished fighting the worst designed boss in the entire series, Nightmare, total dog shit boss design, it's insane. She just attacks him. She backstabs him, not literally. She shoots him in the back with like a lightning bolt or something like that, and then immediately puts herself in danger from like a rock. Like a rock is falling or something, and then, oh no, it's gonna kill her, no! And then Dante comes in, running like the hero. I gotta save her. She tried to kill me twice. I gotta save her anyway because she looks like my mom. And he does save her. Then he's like mad at her. Then he's like, hey, that wasn't cool when you attacked me. You know you're actually evil on the inside no matter what you look like. No matter if you look like my mom. And I'm like, dude, Dante, why didn't you just say that at the beginning of the game? That sentiment is just as valid when she threw the motorcycle at you. It doesn't make any sense that you waited till the end of the game to tell her that. And from like no danger, bro. She would have survived the fucking rock, bro. It's so she can carry and throw a motorcycle. She's gonna survive that little ass rock, bro. And I kind of get it. It seems like the main character, the character arc that the first game revolves around, isn't actually Dante's. Dante is like this catalyst character, really to help change the heart of Trish. Trish is the character that has the character arc in Devil May Cry 1, which makes a lot of sense. The more you look back at Devil May Cry 1, it seems very clear that Kamiya just wanted to make Trish the main character. But Capcom didn't really want that. You know what I mean? Capcom wanted like a male main character for this action game because it started off as kind of a spin-off. Or not a spin-off, but like it was the first draft of Resident Evil 4. And we all know Resident Evil 4 was a huge hit with the beloved Leon Kennedy. You know, and I don't necessarily know if Resident Evil 4 would have been a big hit if it had a female main character. I know a lot of people online don't think that's that important anymore, but in the marketing room of like a multi-million or like probably like $1 million video game development, like that does matter a lot. That the sales psychology matters way more than like just what the director wants to do. Honestly, if we're gonna be honest, I'm not the one who decides that. That's like a whole corporate culture thing, and I don't want to go on a tangent about that. My point is that by the end of the game, when Trish like takes on like Dante's example and she puts herself in danger to protect him, showing that she's grown as a character and has fully come full circle to like now behave like Ava, who she resembles physically, then she has turned into a better character. Whoa, she's completed her character arc. Now she's like actually worth something to the audience who's seen her grow. Despite how like super lame and corny that ending is. Holy shit. I mean, now it's a little more obvious that she's definitely designed to be the main character of the first game. She is the logo. She is the memory card, little avatar. She's the voiceover when it says Devil May Cry at the beginning of the menu screen. Literally the ending, she's like, hey, she's like waving in the corniest way. Hey, I'm the forever sidekick of Dante. Every time you see Dante, you're going to see me. It's all about me too. It's kind of lame. And you can also tell that like these were Kamiya's first ideas for Bayonetta. You know what I mean? Kamiya didn't really want to make Devil May Cry. He didn't really want to make an adaptation of the Divine Comedy like he kind of had to because Capcom told him to as his boss. He wanted to just make Bayonetta. He wanted to make this like girl that's kind of obsessed with herself and full of herself and is very flamboyant and is kind of like evil. She's using her evil temptress ways for good, for the greater good. And all of that was done so much better in the Bayonetta series. Which is why I don't really think Kamiya has ever made a good Devil May Cry game. First Devil May Cry game has a lot of warts. It has a lot of unfun moments. You might be able to say most of it is kind of unfun, and I would agree. And the story doesn't make that any better. Definitely not. I get it. Dante wears a cool red jacket, and he has like guns and a sword. That's cool. That's cool as fuck. But that won't save your game if it's kind of lame. And that's how I feel about Devil May Cry 1. It's kind of a bad prototype of Bayonetta. And that's okay. I mean, the series gets saved after Kamiya is taken off of it. And that's fine. It's whatever. But here's the other problem. When we get to Devil May Cry 4, where she is also heavily involved in the story, the entire plot of Devil May Cry 4 is started from Trish being evil. It's so stupid. The bad guys of Devil May Cry 4 have straight up no power to do anything bad at all until they get the most powerful weapon in the series, Force Edge, aka Devil Sword Sparta. Force Edge, bro. It's so fucking confusing calling the sword Sparta and not the guy whose sword it is Sparta when they have the same name. They don't need to have the same name. That's the stupidest naming convention of all time. Everybody calls it Force Edge. It's Force Edge. Shut up. Anyway, Trish just gives the bad guys Force Edge for no reason. There is a point where Lady says, hey, she tells Dante, who doesn't care, justifiably doesn't care, because they're not doing anything bad, honestly. Lady tells Dante that there's a religious cult that have been collecting devil arms and that they should investigate. And I don't know why. I understand that they don't see what we see as the audience, but we see as the audience that the Order is kind of doing nothing wrong. Everyone in Fortuna City is part of their cult, which just worships Dante's dad Sparta, who is like the only good demon in the setting. So it's a character that should be worshipped by the people. He's like the Devil May Cry Jesus kind of character who does a lot for humanity. There's no reason to stop them. They're not doing it, like they're not actually doing anything bad. Nero's part of their cult, and he's just like, I don't want to get into fucking Nero. Anyway, I'm just saying they're not really doing anything bad. There's 2 hell gates that they have, and they have like demons that work for them, but like no one lives by those demons. Those demons aren't doing anything. They're just kind of like hanging out by themselves in the blizzard and in the jungle. There's like one guy that has like a lion face and a sword, and he's like destroying empty buildings, I guess, and that's it. That's as evil as it gets. But Trish decides to just steal the most powerful weapon from Dante without telling him and gives it to the bad guys. And we know she does it without telling him because we see Dante find the letter she left that says, I took this shit. It's so dumb, bro. It's so dumb. Trish started everything wrong. Trish ruined Nero's life. Trish got Nero's friend Credo killed. Trish is the true villain behind Devil May Cry 4. None of the bad guys could have done anything bad if it wasn't for Trish. If Trish didn't give the order Sparta, then Dante wouldn't have shot Sanctus. And if Dante hadn't shot Sanctus, Credo would never have ordered Nero to investigate and find Dante. If Nero is never ordered to find Dante, he'll never find the lab where he accidentally fixes Yamato. And if he never fixes Yamato, that means the order never opens up the final hell gate that lets all these demons come in and kill all of their worshippers, all of their civilians. And Credo would have never gotten killed. Kyrie would have never been kidnapped. Nero would have never been kidnapped. It's so dumb. Team Devil May Cry are the villains, and it's only because Dante is such a simp for Trish. He just lets Trish do whatever she wants at any time for no reason, dude. She already freeloads off you. You already let her live at your bar, which she destroyed once for free just because she looks like your mom, Dante. It's super dumb, and it completely erased all of her character development from the first game. I understand that Devil May Cry 4 is written by a completely different guy, Hideaki Itsuno. But let's also not forget, part of this super dumb shit plot in Devil May Cry 4 has Trish being in blackface. It's literally a costume. It's literally a disguise. It's blackface by the literal definition of blackface. It's so nuts how terrible the writing in Devil May Cry 4 is for every character involved, not just Trish. However, Trish is a great example of another poorly, terribly written character from Devil May Cry 4. And then in Devil May Cry 5, Trish does absolutely nothing. She gets beat up with Lady and Dante at the beginning of the game. Then she's like possessed and turned into a boss that you fight halfway through the game, which is okay, whatever. And then she just lays around naked doing nothing until the end of the game. She puts like some clothes back on at the end of the game. She's literally just laying around doing nothing at the very end. And that's why she's a bad character in the context of the canon of the numbered Devil May Cry games. But there are other reasons why she's a bad character that's not just in the canon. She's a bad adaptation of Beatrice Portinari. Remember, this was a real life woman that this is based off. Not only do you have to write a good character when you're basing it on a real life person, or not even, let's say you're basing it off of another fictional work, there are still expectations to make your adaptation at least somewhat like the original version. Otherwise, it might as well be a completely new character. Why even use this person's same name or their role in the story? And she's a very bad adaptation of Beatrice Portinari. I want to extend a little bit of an olive branch. In the story, The Divine Comedy, in the poem that the entire Devil May Cry series is based on, Beatrice functions as kind of like a similar role to Virgil, being a guide for Dante as he makes his way through all of the circles of hell, while showing Dante that humans can manifest as divine grace. Divine grace being the internal strength it takes to resist temptation or our original sin. And what I think is pretty decent about the writing in Devil May Cry 1, probably the only part of it that's decent, is that Dante, as a catalyst character, allows the story to kind of reconstruct this trope, being the person that shows Trish how to resist her natural demonic tendencies because she's just born a demon, showing her that she can just choose to be a good person, she could choose to be a selfless person, she can choose to behave in a way to protect other people. And this is something Dante knows because Dante is also part demon, but also part human. And he is carrying on these lessons he's learned from his mother, which he thinks Trish should also learn if she's going to bother like physically impersonating his mother. And that is a good lesson. That is some decent writing. So Trish is not a good adaptation of the real life woman that she is based on. However, she's, at least in the first game only, she is a decent kind of flipping of the character, like a reconstruction of that character, which I think is kind of good. You know, I don't want to blow too much smoke up the first game's ass. It's not that good. I mean, you know, exactly how many cutscenes have any dialogue at all in the first game, and it's not that much. Here's a video I'm gonna put on screen that shows all of the dialogue Dante has in the first game, and it's less than 5 minutes, and he's the main character. So I am expanding a little bit on the story and themes of the first game that aren't there that explicitly. And I understand that this video is kind of just negative, so it can't be all negative, right? And I do think these themes are here. They are present. They're poorly executed. But the final nail in the coffin that makes Trish such an overtly badly written character is that she's clearly just a vehicle for Kamiya's personal Oedipus complex. Kamiya is a very weird guy. He's a very sensitive guy. He has like years worth of insulting and being really mean to anyone, not even just fans. Tons of evidence of him like bullying his own personal fans. But he's just really a weird guy. And that is neither here nor there. He personally has a very weird relationship with his own mother. And that's why so much of the subtext of Devil May Cry 1 comes off as creepy, not in like a cool Halloween horror movie kind of way, but comes off in a really incestuously creepy, like antisocial kind of a way. You know, part of the appeal of the first game and the entire series really is that it's kind of sleazy, right? Is that this is an action game about guns and blood everywhere, and the main character lives in a bar, and he's always surrounded by these half-naked, sexy women. But the first woman, the one who declares that she's the most important woman in the narrative, literally at the end of the game, is a literal clone of the main character's mother. So I like blondes. I like sexy blondes with big tits that are barely wearing anything with cool guns. I love that, sure. But my mom doesn't look like that. And I know Kamiya's mom doesn't look like that either, being a Japanese woman. But the point is, we know specifically Dante's mom looks just like that. And that is so weird to have a clone of your mom that's tried to kill you twice, living in your house rent-free, wearing almost nothing. There's even specifically a time where he's holding her butt-ass naked. It's so bad. And to be fair, that time was not written by Kamiya. Kamiya was totally off of the series at that point. And man, this character, Trish, is straight up baggage. This is a character that should have been completely written out of the series after the first game. She's done nothing to help the narrative at all. If anything, she's just created more problems for every other character to deal with. And she's almost ruined sexy blondes for me, which is nuts.
Drop it, hey!